Welcome back and thank you for staying with Morning Express. Of course, we got a chance to canvass what you should expect in today's dailies, the Standard Nation and the likes. We'll definitely keep that going for you. But right now we want to shift focus to the political tone in the country. Joining us in studio already, Kenyan politician Washington Jakoyo Midiwo, who's a former Member of Parliament for Gem constituency. Many thanks for your time, Eshimeo. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, even before we start, we just want to highlight some of the emerging issues around the country. This one touching on the ODM leader, ODM party rather, where the leader Raila Odinga has just kick-started his tour of central Kenya with a visit to Githurai and other neighborhoods along the Thika superhighway. Now, Odinga's trip comes a day after the IEBC approved the building bridges signatures, signaling the introduction of the BBI bill to county assemblies. Now, Raila Odinga's tour is regarded as an attempt at not only popularizing BBI, but also endearing himself to the voters in the region ahead of 2022. Let's take a look at that report by Mark Namaswa.
ODM leader Raila Odinga's entourage snaking its way along Thika superhighway just outside Nairobi. Odinga taking full advantage of the crowds gathering along the road and neighborhoods straddling the superhighway to outline his mission. Among the areas he visited was Githurai in Kiambu County. Odinga, known for his mastery of pulling crowds during political rallies, making BBI one of his agenda items, now that the IEBC has okayed the tabling and debate of the BBI bill in the counties after signature verification. Besides the BBI, Odinga was also making full use of the opportunity to ridicule his opponents, starting with a leader he says has been in power, fed masses with lies, and is intending to seek political office to continue with the charade.
Wengine wanaita Mr. 6 months. Alisema akiingia katika serikali baada ya miezi 6 kila mtoto kwa shule atakuwa na laptop. Miaka sasa ni 8. Wale watoto walikuwa darasa ya kwanza, wako darasa ya 8, wanakwenda kufanya mtihani. Hiyo laptop imeonekana. Sisi watu wa Githurai na Nairobi ni BBI. Ati ni nini? Mimi kama mwanasheria tutawaelezea mambo ya BBI vizuri sana kwa makini. Githurai mko.
Central Kenya is regarded as an area with huge political capital in terms of votes. And with the BBI debate now headed to the counties, it presents the next perfect battlefront for flexing political muscles ahead of 2022. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
All right, this seems to be the start of a long-sustained campaign to ensure political sanity and peace. That's according to the president, and also explaining the benefits of BBI to the people in a sustained campaign. And we'd like to kickstart on that particular note. Jakoyo Midiwo is in studio, as I had informed you earlier. Menshimeo, let's start on that particular note. What exactly is your reaction to the symbolism of the tour by Raila Odinga to central region, specifically Githurai, and the theatrics that were witnessed right there?
You know, central Kenya is part of Kenya.
True.
And it should not be out of bounds to anybody, to government, and to any politician. I think Raila has credentials, probably the most, the highest politician in the country who can traverse the whole country. I think most people who are trying to talk politics are minnows. But in Central Province, I think the message is not properly sold, because I think that the Tanga group has taken the opportunity to radicalize the people of Central Kenya, particularly the youths. And I think it's very unfortunate because I don't see how we shall reverse it. I have been talking to a lot of people in my retirement, and I've been telling them that what will you do when it is all said and done? The radicalization, the mere fact that this is a highly tribalized country, the mere fact that we are failing to inculcate and ground the good things in tribalization as a country. I do not think we can afford to have the largest tribe in the country radicalized, and it will not lead to war in this country. So I appreciate what Raila is doing. I appreciate his bravery. But you see, when he goes there to Githurai, you see that Kenyans are just still Kenyans. I am proud. What I saw yesterday is that Kenyans are trying to be Kenyans. Politicians, for very selfish and corrupt reasons, want things for their own reasons. So that you spend a lot of time, you use money to use Central Kenya politicians to hate Uhuru. I am proud that the president has held his ground.
Well, that's proper, even as other lawmakers criticize the violence that was seen right there. But let's take a keen look on what was mentioned. And something that caught my attention is the fact that the ODM leader mentioned this. If I were the president, I would probably reorganize the government so that everything is in the right track for the sake of the people. Do you think this is a proper move, bearing in mind what is actually ailing the government in terms of focusing on the agenda? What do you think? Might this be a hint of a cabinet reshuffle looming?
There are people who are in government for the wrong reasons. If I was the owner of government, in fact, I saw UK say the other day that he is not a lion that has been rained on, so that people don't imagine he's a cat because he's a lame duck president. I don't imagine that he's not lame because he only has 15 or 16 months to go. But you're a president until you leave. He has the responsibility in this country to reorganize the government. It is not working for us. So many things make our people not happy. But it does not mean it cannot be reversed, because the Jubilee government took power by telling Kenyans they will continue some of those programs of Kibaki. I can tell you, as somebody who has been in politics for a very long time, that Kibaki left us when we were boarding the plane.
When the journey had just started.
The Jubilee government, led by the people Raila is saying that need to be reorganized. The Jubilee government simply, what did they do? They refused the plane can't take off. So we remain a third world and a very corrupt country. In my view, I think the president, it is not too late for the president to reorganize government and redirect the country, because now it is winner take all. Winner take all in the sense that everybody is dipping their hands or their fingers into the cookie jar. They're looting this country dry. So I think a shake-up will show that he is not a cat, but he is a lion. It may have rained.
All right, and we'll definitely see what comes of the Sagana meeting, which I'd like your quick reaction to. We saw the Sagana 1 meeting when the Supreme Court has just annulled the 2017 election. Sagana 2 came at a time when the president was facing criticism over his development agenda in the region. Sagana 3 right now, BBI might be the main issue, but the bigger question is how to push it in an already polarized region where the no's might be more than the yeses, despite the popularization not having started. What's your take on this?
In my view, I think Central Kenya, quite frankly, needs the BBI more than the rest of the country.
Why is that?
Because you should rule the idea of 42 against 1 or 41 against 1. Because that's what Kenyans are feeling against the Kikuyu community. And I think we don't need to go that direction. We passed that. We need to negotiate amidst our challenges. And I think this country is bigger than that, it's better than that. So that the president need not negotiate with anybody who thinks he should go home and leave us in chaos. The president needs to negotiate with all and mighty who think that he has the powers to put us in good space in terms of worldview and in terms of development. You cannot have a scenario that what if tomorrow Musalia calls Kakamega, and Raila calls Kisumu, and Kalonzo calls Machakos. You know, those things, they don't belong in the 21st century. And I think Kenyans are being cowardly. One of the biggest things, my brother, that Kenya is suffering from is the concerted effort by the Jubilee government to kill parliament. So that we have too many representatives who don't have a voice, who are not representatives at the articles of our constitution call for. Because I would not agree that the president needs to negotiate with anybody. In any case, how many votes? If people don't see sense, but how many votes would it matter, even if people of Central Province did vote for BBI? But they must vote for the sake of the future of their children and their grandchildren. And I think the mere fact that BBI, the approach may have been wrong, but they were going to oppose it anyway because of the radicalization. I want to plead with Central Kenya politicians. It will be a very long time before you have another chance to witness what you're doing. And what you're doing, you will pay for it. Stop radicalization.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the class wars and the rhetoric that has surrounded it has definitely put more impetus on the stop of radicalization. But even as we shift focus, the journey that the BBI has just taken, many say it's just left the train station after the IEBC approved the over 1.1 million signatures. Now that they're in the counties, your quick reaction, you've been in politics for quite a time. Do you think politics will play out in the counties with the MCAs set to discuss on this bill for the next 3 months or so? How do you see it playing out?
I would be shocked to see an MCA opposing money to the wards.
Well, some seem to have already.
I would be shocked. No, but those ones,
yeah.
You know, most of these people are people without substance. You know, even that document, I would be shocked if any of them have read the document.
Okay.
You know, reading is an art. I'm an avid watcher of the American politics. When I saw one of the Trump officials say that he quit because Trump does not read. Let's read. You know, this is a public document. It's been out there for many months. So MCAs, we plead with them. We want to beg them. I am the Nyanza coordinator for BBI, and I can tell you for a fact, our 11 countries will pass it. So we are looking for another 13.
13 counties.
We will get them. Trust me.
So those who might think that the BBI document does not capture the aspirations of the people, maybe they have read it, but they still stick to that sort of thought. It's a democratic world, and we definitely welcome divergent views. When they vote against it in the Assembly, how will this play out? Will it water down the impetus of the BBI, the drive, once it has already left the station? What do you make of it?
Well, capture the aspirations of the people. For example, let me give you one that I think captures my aspirations, because I'm also the people.
As well.
The issue of ombudsman, which I saw William Samoei sensationalized at Bomas. You know, I've been to court so many times. You know, you go to court, a judgment was passed yesterday. Why would the legal fraternity be helped by politicians to say that it's a bad idea? Old mothers are seeing people living on their lands because a lawyer and a judge and a prosecutor colluded. So they just take from you, there's nowhere to go. Now I would want to see a situation where if I don't think I have gotten justice in the court, I have somebody to complain to. In sort of like the Gasheshe courts in Rwanda. I need to talk to people. You don't want to tell somebody to go 100 kilometers to access a court.
Yeah.
And then the judgment was actually done behind them. And this process, everybody in judiciary, and I wish to be contradicted, there's too much corruption. That whole chain cannot be accessed by ordinary Kenyans. And it's good to realize we created a position of a general ombudsman, where Uchende Amolo was the first constitutional one in the commission, first chair. But it has failed. It's not working. We must keep making reforms. My brother, if you have been around as long as I have been, you must know we have come a long way. And we will keep changing our constitution for convenience, because it is about the people. So aspirations, let the people do. Like this ombudsman, which I'm giving an example, I would have liked, I was reading the bill last night, because I knew that question may crop up in the interview.
Yes.
The thing is, I would have said that person must be an ordinary person and not a lawyer. The bill says that they must have the same qualifications as the CJ, which I disagree with, but I will support. Then I'm sure it will be a subject of the next debate. We must keep doing what we are doing. If there's somebody in the other side, or on the other side of this debate, let them also come up with their suggestions. You know, you can't oppose and not give suggestions.
Quite so. But the nature of the politics in the country, we ever so see the rhetoric, you know, no ideology, but mostly what's being thrown about. But since we're talking about the BBI, I'd like your input on this as well. A lot has been mentioned about the expansion of the executive, and yet nothing much to do with accountability, because as you mentioned, every arm of the government, not just the judiciary, is facing the problem with corruption. Expansion of the executive, which has been used by those against to rally Kenyans against the document. How do you approach this, looking at it from the positive side in terms of inclusion and all that? Do you buy that story?
You know, I think I've seen about 3 violent scenarios after elections. So one of our person, our man, I think we still have a long way to go in terms of making Kenya a perfect society. But I think what we are going to have to do in this country is to accept, and the youth on the street don't know, that the presidency has too much powers, so that those powers are used to oppress the society. And Kibaki nearly got us to where we would have love to go. But then it was reversed because you were dealing with a government which was contradicted between wishes of KANU, which was a dictatorial regime, and a government that is going to the free world approaching 21st century.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, you will have to accept that for our scenario, a much more powerful parliament makes more sense to our people than a president that you cannot visit at will.
Okay.
Do you know, did you know, if you walked along the fence of State House, even now, all you see is guns. You can't see the president walking. I mean, these are not gods, you know.
Okay.
This is a tour of duty. It's 5 years or 10 years.
Yes.
Maximum. So why would we have gods leading us and we have our Almighty God that we go to church for every Sunday?
Okay.
So what am I saying? I'm saying Kenya needs a top that is flat, prime minister with a few deputies, a president with a vice president. That is the only scenario where Rendile has a chance to become anything in this country.
Okay. And in terms, you know, leadership and resources are definitely linked, and that is usually the main contention. Quick reaction to this before we move over to other issues. The bottom-down approach has also been used to actually counter the BBI narrative that resources should start with the ones at the lowest economy level, the hustlers, as that narrative has been propagated. What do you make of that narrative vis-a-vis what you've just mentioned, that Parliament is definitely quite important in the day-to-day running of the country's affair going forward?
Well, you know, when the current constitution was proposed, and I was very involved, then I was the first one to oppose. Then I was told by my brother Raila that at least we have gotten some things right, some tenets, Bill of Rights. The rest we shall do. Then we said Kenya shall be a multi-party state. So if the parties are supposed to negotiate our future, not individuals. Now, the bottom-down approach is not working because it's susceptible to abuse. We need to talk about what is it that we want. Let me tell you something which is away from what your contributors or the politicians talk about. In this country, we say we are an agricultural country. Pastoralists. What has the government done in 60 years in the pastoralist world? Why are Kenyan technocrats developing Botswana and Namibia in terms of meat export? You know, some of those things we can do for ourselves.
Locally, okay.
But individualistic thinking and corruption has put us here. That is an area that we must tweak and keep tweaking, even if it takes us 100 years. So that if I produce maize in North Rift, I don't have to worry about where I'm going to sell it. That's the responsibility of the government.
Yeah.
So that you cannot have politicians importing maize, the same people importing sugar, and not consulting the sugar grower that they will have excess production. Or how is it going to hurt them?
All right.
So this government has wasted 10 years because you have people who think when you are rich, you are God. And I can tell you, this corruption which is happening, look at this thing of Aror, Kimorenda, Thwake Dam, and all those things. The thieves are known. You know, corona money, the thieves are known. I mean, why spend the kind of money which we are spending? Even this gorofa they are building in front of your office, this barabara.
Yes.
Which one do you need, to pay nurses or to build a gorofa?
So a matter of priorities, yes.
Yeah, things are just mixed up.
Well, we definitely lead impetus in direction as a country. But away from that, speaking of things being messed up, I know the ODM party has been your home for quite a while, but things got messed up in 2017. Hence, you going as an independent candidate in that particular election. Going forward, we've seen the move by ODM to strengthen its base in readiness for the 2022 election. What do you make of this, especially since the party nomination is usually quite a contentious issue? You might speak more since you've been there and experienced it from within. What do you make of the readiness in terms of the 2022 election by ODM?
Personally, I don't think there is any other party in the country other than the ODM. It has structures, but thoroughly mismanaged. So that we could have used that or this opportunity of BBI to redo the issues of nomination. You know, most of these politicians, what they are exhibiting in public is their behavior before they get into politics. So there must be a thorough process of vetting who would be our leaders. And I think Kenya needs to revise how it chooses its leaders. I'm a victim.
Oh, yeah.
So when ODM says that they're revamping the party, what are you revamping? The same corrupt people are still running the party. The secretariat. There is no political party, my brother, around the world that loses from 132 MPs to 89 MPs to 56, and the secretariat is the same. It needs to go home. You know, it's the same people. The politics is not a job. Politics is a calling for public service. And politics is not a trade where you go in and buy certificates and you give people wrong leadership.
All right.
So ODM has one advantage that most political parties don't have, that it has a reputable leader. So it could use that opportunity to build a reputable party for the country. It is possible. It is doable.
Okay.
And I'm saying this, you know, what do I have to lose? I've been a member of parliament for 15 years. What if I don't ever become anything?
Yeah.
I'm a retired man. I'm so happy.
Quite so. But you're speaking truth to it. And
of course,
it also leads to the other issue as well. We've seen them open the slots for presidential candidates within the ODM party. You just mentioned something that brought it to my head, that the party has the face of a leader who is actually embraced nationwide as a statesman, you know. But going forward, what do you make of the slots to fill? We've seen some leaders come through, deputy party leaders, Joho and Oparanya, actually make it clear that they might be pushing for that top position for the party to represent it in the coming presidential election. What do you make of that?
Democracy?
Yes.
But if wishes were horses, it's like you're living in the same house with your father and you begin competing for your mother.
So it goes without
those
saying.
Things don't work out, you know. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
This country has one best leader in the name of Raila Amolo Odinga. And if we never take that opportunity, it will never work. I see these Tanga people, you know, I see, you know, I watch a lot of these things. And I'm just saying, Kenyans, we will laugh at you. We will laugh at you if you bring thieves to govern your country. Let me just tell you something.
As we conclude, sir.
As we conclude.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a driver that has caused an accident and the vehicle crashes, it's totaled, But you panel beat it, you put it back on the road.
Yeah.
Then you put, like Kibaki panel beat our society. Then the same crooks as the ones who fell the bus. Then we can never, and we must never, put the people who have constantly brought down our economy to run our economy, because we will never have anywhere to run to. Think about what is happening in our society.
All right.
You know when Tangatanga, for example, this group of Tangatanga, the focus from ODM, my brother, Tangatanga is our problem as a country because it's radicalizing the youth, telling people that pushing a wheelbarrow is a job, and you have 7 choppers. What are you telling people? If we make that mistake, we will not have anywhere to go to, and for some of us, we shall be laughing.
All right. Well, you're speaking to the truth. Speaking about that, doing the same things and expecting different results.
Yeah.
Well, many thanks, Jacoyo Midio. Definitely speaking it as it is, straight shooting, even as we got to explore a couple of issues, touching on the nationwide political scene in the country, rolling out of BBI and the likes, but definitely touching on the ODM party.